I only mix on the Neve. I can't mix on it does, I just can't, it doesn't sound good to me. So every mix I'll use to the Neve.
That's Tom Weir, Grammy award-winning mixer, engineer, and producer, and the owner of Studio City Sound in Los Angeles. From a garage studio in Calabasas to a #1 record on the Billboard Hot 100, Tom has spent decades behind the glass working with artists like No Doubt, Rod Stewart, and Willie Nelson.
Yeah, I'm sure that there's people that'll decide, oh, we're not going to track a band, we'll just use AI. But we're benefiting from AI because people come in here like trying to replace their AI singer.
Today, Tom reveals how his studio is thriving in the age of AI by helping artists replace what the algorithm gets wrong, why he refuses to mix anywhere but through his Neve console, and what it takes to keep a commercial studio alive when the industry keeps changing. By the end of this conversation, you'll understand how a working studio adapts and survives, why analog mixing still makes a difference, and what AI augmentation really looks like from inside the control room. Stick around. I'm Bobby Owsinski, and this is the Inner Circle Podcast. A lot of things have changed for you, but one thing that hasn't changed is the fact that Studio City Sound keeps on rolling. Tell me how a commercial studio in this day and age stays successful, stays in business.
Well, you know what? You got to do a lot of different things. Like this morning, I just did a voiceover for with Zoom. Like we do, besides music recording, we do a lot of like ADR commercials. We have a Dolby Atmos studio. We do like live streaming. It's not just music recording. It's a mixed bag of ADR, voiceovers, these sessions that are monitored with either Zoom, Source Connect. Some people do Riverside. Some people do, there's different formats. We just kind of adapt to them. And then, like I said, we do a lot of live recordings, and we include video. And then let's just say we do a live concert somewhere, and then we take it back here, mix it. I may do a Dolby Atmos mix of it, with different things like that. It's just a lot of, let's say, different, not just recording basic music. So it's a combination of live audio, live recording, video. We even have video. We do podcasts with video and audio. We do at least a couple podcasts a week, maybe more sometimes. Or these voiceover sessions that we just did. So that's why mine extended longer. And they're on Zoom or some monitoring. They're monitoring somewhere, or directing it from some other location. So that's basically how we get projects in here and to do different projects.
It seems like you learned that early on, that you have to diversify in order to keep going, because as far as I can remember with you, you've been doing all these things that you're talking about. I remember when you're just getting into video.
I borrowed your cameras in 2010.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. I remember when you just first getting started.
Yeah, we started live broadcasting in 2010, and actually that's what got me through the whole COVID thing. When everyone was shut down, I started live broadcasting at this church in North Hollywood, St. Charles Borromeo, and I started doing all these because we just happened to have everything. And just by some miracle, I was making a donation at their service center when everyone was closed down. They've got a service center across the street from them where they do food distribution. And I just said to the guy, I made a donation of something, and I said to the guy, hey, do you need any help? And he goes, well, the church across the street is trying to figure out how to broadcast their Easter service when everything was shut down. And I go, hey, I got everything. What do you need? And he goes, give me your card. And so about an hour later, he goes, okay, you're hired. We'll figure out the money later. So I still been there since then. We do services there all the time. We do all their Sundays. We do weddings, funerals. We have a whole control room set. That's just another side job. Like let's call it a side hustle, a side line. So we do those for different churches and different things like that. So yeah, you're right. We started doing that 2010. The video with audio.
Okay, so you were in your former location for years and years, and now I know you've moved.
Years. Yeah, we found this spot in North Hollywood. It's a lot bigger. It's much better built studio than what we had before. And so the opportunity came up, and we was like, you know what? It's a good move for us. It's a lot more space, and they're actually better built rooms. It was a voiceover studio, but they built this probably in the 80s really well. And so we came here in January. We got 2 rooms up and running. This is A back here with our Neve and stuff, with the piano room and the drums and stuff. And then we got across the hall, I got an Atmos studio. We put that's up and running. So, and then we have one more studio in the back I got to finish in the next couple of weeks.
What was the move like? Because I know just when you're moving a house, it's traumatic and it takes a long time. What was it like moving studios?
Well, the great thing was the day that they moved the Neve and all the pianos and all the big stuff, I got COVID. like 3 days before that, so I wasn't even here. So
I don't know if that's good or bad.
I'm glad it wasn't here. I wasn't there. No, it was crazy. I mean, it took 2 months to move everything over. And but not, but it just taking everything apart, disassembling it, and then we had a lot of really good people helping us. So we started our first session here. I was just kind of forced because I took a session and I just said, just take it, we'll make it work. And our first session of all things was a 9-piece band in here in studios in this room. I had to get all the headphones going for 16, 9 mixes, and all the mic. It was the drums, bass, guitar, horns. It was a full loaded. And we just took it. We finished at 3 in the morning. The guy showed up at 9. We made it. So that was our first in here, December 27th. We got it up and running. So it was pretty. And we moved the board here like the 20th or something like that. So they got it really up and running really quick. So
Were there any glitches when you finally got it going? Because I mean, old Neves are kind of.
Oh, this board, you know what? It had a couple, but our tech is Dave Gallo. Shout out to Dave Gallo. He's great. There was a couple of things went wrong with it. He fixed them, but it all worked. The board was so big. I'm gonna get out of the way. It's so big that I don't know if you can see from here. They had to stand it up on end to get it in the doorway. Wasn't here though, because they just told me, hey, we're gonna stand this board. I wasn't here. I was at home watching it on my periodic. I'd ask them to send me something. But they had to stand up on end and move it in. And the big thing was that and the piano, the B3 was kind of easy, I guess. But just getting the board in here was kind of hard. But they did it. We used Mates, that cartridge company. They were excellent. So, and then our techs, we had about 5 or 6 people sewing this whole thing together. So the Atmos room took a lot longer to assemble than this. That took almost like a month.
Let's go there for a second. You've always been on the cutting edge and stuff like that, and you jumped into Atmos pretty quick. Was that because you're getting requests for it, or was it because you just anticipated that would happen?
No, I just heard a lot of different people talking about it, and we did some research. I went to Nashville to a couple of places, checked out their Atmos setups, and it did some, checking around and things like that. And then I just figured it's probably going to transition into a demand for it. And I'm glad we did, because now it actually took a long time to get a lot of Atmos mixing, but we've done quite a few of them. And so now we're getting more. It's getting a lot more right now. So I'm glad we did it. I'm glad we invested in it early on and learned how to make the mixes.
Yeah, it's funny because for a while, like everybody and their brother was putting in Atmos rooms, in commercial rooms, at home, whatever. And I'm thinking to myself, wait a second, there can't be that much work out there. And I know that the labels are doing their back catalogs and everything, but they weren't paying anything. So, I mean, that was the problem. You can do all that stuff, but if you don't get paid much, what's it worth?
Yeah, we have them. We're doing them all the time here, so it's just good for different clients. And then, like I said, some of these live shows we do, we ask them if they want to make an Atmos mix of their live. Like we did this musical, and we just screened it at that Dolby Theater in Hollywood. It came out great. What's good news is that it translated really well in a theater, in a system that, it worked out really well. So it sounded. I checked that. They've screened in 2 different theaters, and it sounded really good. It sounded amazing. It translated well. Better than our room, so that was a good surprise.
Yeah, that's for sure. Have you done anything in the Sony format yet?
No, but there's somebody coming over today that's talking to us about that. There's another one too, but I can't remember the name of it. A lot of the Samsungs, I guess, are going to start putting it all stock in their systems and things like that.
Yeah, but they have their own system, and there's not much information about the production side of it yet. So who knows?
We'll see. Yeah, there's somebody coming over to talk to us about that today, actually.
Have you ever noticed that mixing vocals is often the hardest part of getting a track to sound right? You boost, you compress, you add effects, and it still doesn't feel professional. So, to make it easier, I put together a simple mini course on vocal mixing that walks you through the exact steps to get the vocals sounding clear and upfront. If you're interested, scan the QR code on screen or click the link in the show notes. Now, back to today's conversation. So, you do all this different type of stuff. Do you have specialists that you call, like, if for remote recording or for live streaming or whatever?
Oh yeah, we have a whole crew of people. Yeah, I've got a couple of really good camera people. I've got a really good a bunch of I have like 4 or 5 really good engineers that do different things. Some of our engineers have been with us since 2010, so they know all the video setup now. They know how to do cameras. They've learned it just kind of on the fly. And I've got, I've got camera operators, I don't do this all myself. I have different people that specialize. They're really good at lighting. One guy knows how to light really, really well. And then different camera operators, different directors that know how to switch the cameras, things like that. So yeah, we definitely have a team of people that put these things together for us.
Oh, that's very cool.
It's not just me.
Yeah, I was going to say, that's a lot of skills.
I mean, I had some guy teach me this earlier, how to do the live streaming and how to do all that technical stuff. And then I've just passed it on to our new people here so they know how to get things off the ground, run direct things and edit videos and things like that.
Now that you've put the new studio together and you look at it, is there something that you wish you would have done that you didn't do?
What's that, in this place?
Yeah, in the new place.
No, I like this. No, everything so far, that's what's been good about moving here. We were able to it was a really well-built room. We just needed to clean things up, change the fabrics, things like that. It was a very well-built studio. It all came together really well. So the two rooms are, it just took a little while to put certain things together.
Interesting thing is all the services you provide are very human-oriented. Has AI affected you at all?
AI is everywhere. Like for instance, I mean, I'm sure that there's people that'll decide, we're not going to track a band. We'll just use AI and just get my track from there. But, we're benefiting from AI because people come in here like they're trying to replace their AI singer, right? They'll spend hours and they're, oh man, the singer can't get it. Yeah, because nobody can sing alto and bass. They're trying to replace the singer. I'm not feeling it. Because no singers will be able to sing those ranges. So anyway, we're doing a lot of that kind of stuff where people come in. Quite a few people will be and I'll recommend, hey, why don't we replace this because it sounds terrible. I'm sure they'll eventually get to sound really good, but some of the tracks sound okay. But we have AI sub. It's like it's like a producer's arranger or whatever, co-collaborator. It definitely, a good percentage of people we're working off of AI tracks now. That where they start with AI and they try to replace everything and they want to replace a singer, add live instruments to it. I'll recommend things like that, like adding real people on the production to make it sound better and less, what do you want to call it? So yeah, it's definitely affecting the business for sure. But in a positive way here, we get sessions all the time where people need to replace the AI instruments or the singers and, make it sound a little more real.
Yeah, I talked to a couple of friends in Nashville, and that was probably the last place I would have expected something like AI to really take hold of, because it's so organic there and so many great players. And they were saying the same thing about, how they're doing a lot of AI sessions, augmentation sessions.
The first AI I ever heard of was a few years ago. I'm not going to say who it was, but I thought it sounded really strange. I'm like, what is this? And everything. Well, it's this new thing. And I said, who's this artist? They go, it's a business guy who just, wait, he's not a singer? No, he just has money. Like, what? I didn't know what they're talking. I didn't get it at first. Like, wait a minute, this is like a couple of years back. And then it was all country western music. And then they would come here and do the vocals, and then they'd hire some people in Nashville, and then I get all these weird tracks, and I would solo things, and I said, why does this sound so crazy? What is this thing? And then he goes, oh, no, that's that other, they didn't call it AI. I don't know what they gave me some name for it. But yeah, it started a couple of years back. We did a lot of that. And it was all country western music. They had these country people replacing the slide and the instruments like that. But it's been going on for a long time now. We're heading into at least 3 years of AI augmentation, we'll call it.
I was talking to a friend of mine who had the job of re-recording all the songs for a really big 80s act who shall remain nameless. And the singer didn't sound like that anymore. He just didn't sound like he did 40 years ago. And they had to resort to AI. They had to sample his voice the way it was back then. Luckily, they had the multi-tracks that they could just, it's easy to train off that. And that's what it was in order for it to sound. Otherwise, it wouldn't have sounded even close, the vocal.
That happened to me yesterday. I'm not naming any names. I said, you go, import this track. And I go, that's so-and-so? He goes, yeah. I said, sounds amazing. And I didn't think about it. I was like, what the hell? And then I thought, oh, shoot, I know that. It sounded like him, but just a really good version of him. So it's all plastic surgery on music, basically. So,
yeah, definitely.
No, totally augmented. It's like complete. It's like, I was shocked. Like, man, he sounds amazing. And it was all in tune and perfectly. I'm like, and then I realized, okay, I'm not gonna say anything. I know what this is. This is just a copy of, just like what you said, a photo of just a plastic surgery on music, basically.
I remember, again, this is quite a few years ago, where you had a signal path or signal paths where you would take the output of a DAW, and during the mix, you'd send it through various signal paths. You had one, this is outboard gear, one for vocals and one for bass, and that I remember. And it really made a difference. And sounded much more analog. Do you still do that?
Yeah, I only mix on the Neve. I can't mix on I mean, it does. I just can't. It doesn't sound good to me. So every mix I'll do, I'll use to the Neve, and we'll run it through different processors. And we acquired we've even got this, which sounds amazing, a BX20 reverb system that we can use some live reverb and things like that. But yeah, I just mix on the board only. You can't beat running it through this analog console. I don't think I even had this board. Did I even have this Neve when I did your last? I guess I can't remember. I might have been using inward connection summing mixers. I got this board in 2015, so I can't remember. But yeah, I love the sound of it. It sounds great. This board, it gives it sound. Especially all the AI stuff, it helps.
Yeah, for sure. Well, that's the one thing the AI does not do well, and that's fidelity. Fidelity is, it's not great.
You solo the tracks, you're like, what the hell's that? And then, but when you put them all together, they actually blend together, okay. But still, there's something about it that is not right. But and like a lot of musicians will probably get really lazy, and not musicians, but people that want to do music, they're not going to learn anything. They're not going to learn an instrument. They're not going to learn anything. They're just going to they're just kidding themselves. You know what I mean? When they go on tour and like play a tape and sing along, I'm not sure what they're going to do.
I just had a conversation with someone about AI in a live situation where it wasn't possible until now, mostly because of the power required, the computer horsepower, and now they're using it, and I don't know how. I was like, I want to see what they're doing and how they're doing it. It sounds interesting, if nothing else, but it was a lot of trying to emulate what a real player would do or players would do. So we'll see. It sounds interesting.
I can't wait to go to an AI jazz show.
Yeah,
it's horrible, but it's here, so we'll see what ends up happening. As there's probably going to be some grand lawsuit that makes everyone erase their music from. And when someone figures out where all it came from, they'll come up with some program that knows what they stole, and like, now you got to pull that one. Now you can't use that one. There's one beat from so and so. I have no idea how they do it anyway. It doesn't even matter.
There are so many lawsuits going on out there that.
Are they with AI?
Oh God, yes, copyright lawsuits.
Really?
Yeah,
okay.
There's tons of them, and it's labels against AI platforms, it's artists, it's publishers, so that there's a lot going on in that space.
I would say people watching the show, I would go to law school if you want to make money.
Yeah,
because that's where all the money's going to come from.
Intellectual property. There you go.
That's it. That's my advice. Don't get a studio. Just go to law school.
Okay, so that's a good place to go, though. Advice. You're spoiled because you can work on a Neve. Not many people can. What would you suggest for someone who doesn't have those resources in order to make things sound good?
That's a problem. Where do you go? I was trying to duplicate this in our building, but I guess you could. An API is a good choice, but that's literally a little less money. Or you could find maybe some of these summing mixers. I used to use inward connection summing mixers. I don't think he makes them anymore, but those are fantastic. Those sound great for mixdown. So some of those 16-in boxes are will do something like this. At least you give something, some blending capabilities. But I don't know what you do with this. I don't know how you replicate the sound of this board. I don't know how you can do it. I don't know. Like I said, over here, I'm trying to figure out how to get another mix room together, but I'd have to either buy an API or try to find a Neve, something like this somewhere. But there's no real replacement for it. And then once all the, what do they call, the relays are out, then I'll be done. Just kidding. We bought as many relays as we could find. just to keep the thing going. You know what I mean? But as far as the maintenance, it's fantastic. Like compared to an SSL, but man, the maintenance of that thing, an SSL people don't. I'm not dissing them, but just the maintenance was crazy on those things.
Wow, I
This
know.
is pretty low.
Yeah.
This is very low. Like really, unless somebody pours a drink on it, God willing. I mean, it pretty much works. Thank God.
Rupert knew what he was doing.
I don't know, but what some formula, whatever they did in here, it just sounds great. Yeah, we just mixed a new John Wade album here. It sounded great, like just last week, and they were really happy with it. So
When you switched studios, was there something that you wanted to update or upgrade that you did?
the opportunity came for this building, and it's just a better spot for us. And the drum room sounds much more live. Like you can tell, there's wood in the background. I didn't have that in my other place, so my drum room has a lot more attack because there's a lot more wood in there. It's more of an ambient room. They did whoever designs this has been the 80s sometime, but it's got like, other studio was kind of all the walls were soft where it had some kind of, I don't know what they put behind them, something 703 or something, but it was it was okay sound. It was a good sound, but this one we've got the opposite. We have a live room in the front, in the back where the wood is in the front. It's a lot deader, and they have a window so you could choose your acoustic space. You can have a really, really ambient, like not really ambient, but it's a very attack-oriented drum room back there. And then the drums sound much better here. But don't anyone call and ask for a refund, for the past drum sessions, I believe. But no, it has a really good sound. It's basically audio that sounds better in these rooms. So we did upgrade. It was just we thought it'd be a better move for us.
My hat's off to you for doing it because, again, you're at the other place for so long, it would just be easy to write it out. And unless you lost your lease or something, did that happen? Were you forced to move?
No, we just this came up out of nowhere.
Well, good for you for having the gumption to do that. A lot of people would have just said, it's been good for a long time. We'll keep it going. Aside from AI, are you seeing any trends in the business?
No, not really. It's just basically, I'm just basically the same, different flow of different things like that. I think there's more, maybe because of AI, there's definitely a lot of bands, a lot more groups and stuff like that around. And so we get a lot of bands, we get a lot of singer-songwriters. It's just, like I said, it's a mixed bag of everything. It's just a lot of different things.
I'm so happy to hear you say that about bands. One of the things that I've noticed is there's no garage bands anymore. And I can say that from my neighborhood. I've been here for 25 years. And I used to be able to walk out and I could hear a band someplace playing, rehearsing. And I haven't heard that in a few years. It's not because my neighborhood has changed, because it really hasn't. It's just that there's less of that. And I just thought it was a trend that there are no bands, nobody's getting together to do that. But that's why I'm happy to hear you say there are more bands, in fact. Maybe it's just my neighborhood.
There's different versions of them. Yeah, there's different groups, or there'll be a solo singer that puts their own band together or whatever, just that kind of thing. So,
what kind of monitors are you using over there?
We have ATC, I think these are 150s, and we got the new ATC. They make it's called Pro Sub.
Yeah.
They're dual 18s. I don't know if you can see the speakers from here. I'll move the camera there.
Yeah.
Excellent. And we have ATCs in Studio B, and then in our Atmos room. I could take this in and show it to you too if you want.
That's all right.
We have Genelecs in there.
You can't go wrong with ATCs, that's for sure.
Oh, they're fantastic.
Yeah.
Very, very accurate speakers.
Every time I've used them, it's like, wow, this my mix is great.
They reveal everything, good and bad.
Yeah, that's for sure. Tell me about, is there something that people don't know about you that you wish they would?
I don't know. I really don't know. I have no idea. They can go on the dark web and look me up.
A lot of times people will say, well, I really do this and people know me as this. And sometimes it's surprising. Because you get a reputation for something that maybe it's not.
I'm a drummer. I started as a drummer. And I got into the whole business because, do you remember that drummer, John Guerin?
Sure, yeah.
That's my brother-in-law, was my brother-in-law. And he actually got me, I was just playing drums in a family band with our family. And he let me go to a Joni Mitchell session. And you remember the producer, Henry Louis?
Yeah.
So I met him there, and he actually started like mixing. We had an 8-track Ampex, 1-inch Ampex studio in our garage, And he, bring me your tapes and I'll mix them for you. So he kind of I started just giving me lessons. It wasn't a formal school, but he would just tell me, "Oh, do this next time, get this, go buy this, go this, find Poltex, use this." And then, I kind of just learned and from just these people that helped me out, and Garen was just really good. He let me go to like a scoring session, like with a 80-piece orchestra. Actually, this is a good story. I go there to I think it was a Fox or one of those places, and I'm just a commoner, like an unknown person. I'm just in the background, and he's not there, and the 80-piece orchestra is standing there, and they're yelling, and they're asking me, "Where's John?" I said, "How would I know? This is pre-cell phone." And they're yelling. They're like 30 minutes into it, and they're like, "Oh man, that's it, man. He's finished. He's done." And all of a sudden, they're just waiting. All of a sudden, he shows up. They throw him like 12 pieces of paper, this massive score. He puts like 4 music stands together. He grabs a mallet and he puts it in his mouth and he goes, "And a 1." And there was like a 10-minute piece, jazz, time changes, everything. He did it one take and they were done. And then like, "Oh, John, he's back in." So anyway, God bless John Garrett. He got me into the whole recording because I wouldn't have learned a lot of Henry Louie and John Garrett got me into all kinds of stuff. So it was really neat.
How long did it take you before you felt you were good?
Well, we put together we put together a studio at our house in Calabasas. Because my younger brother Michael, I find this story, but my younger brother Michael got on this soap and Young and the rest of us, and we were doing all these. He's a singer in our band too, so we were doing all these like recordings for him on the show and things like that, or 8-track, and then I talked him into getting a 24-track. I got a Studer 24-track and an Amic Angela, and we just kind of winged it. Again, we're just kind of like learning on the fly, and then we ended up recording this song in the garage. It was that Remake a Rock On, the David Essex song. And it ended up going and we recorded and mixed it in our garage in Calabasas, and it ended up going #1 on Billboard. So I guess after that, I was okay, but I still didn't know what I was doing. But that was like '89. So from there up, and then we just this studio here is a lot of the same equipment here. The AMS is here, the DBX 160s are here from that same studio. A lot of gear is here from that same studio, Calabasas, in the garage. So yeah, this went from a garage to this.
Do you have a favorite piece of gear that you use every time, every session?
I always use for vocals, I always use the Tube Tech, and I always use I like the Poltex on different things like bass and guitars, things like that. And of course the Neve. Can't fail with the Neve board. I need this stuff. I would really hard to do a drum session without the Neve. It wouldn't sound it would sound okay, so if you book the studio, ask for Studio A.
Well, okay. Let's finish on that then. So how do people get in touch with you?
They can go to studiocitysound.com, even though we're in North Hollywood now. We only moved 2 miles away, so it wasn't that far. But I think I'll leave the name the same because I don't want to have to change all the documents, too much of a hassle. So you just look us up on the web, or they can call us, 818-505-9368. Call direct, or just reach out to us on website. It's easy to find anywhere, bookings.
Very cool. Thanks for listening and being in my inner circle. Remember, if you have any questions or comments, you can send them to questions@bobbyowsinski.com. You can also learn all about the latest in music, audio, and production news, and find out about openings for my latest online classes at bobbyowsinski.com. This is Bobby Owsinski. I will see you next time